Hello and welcome to day 11. So let's continue from where we left yesterday, where um, the youth was asking the philosopher about another example of superiority complex. The philosopher says, there's the kind of person who likes to boast about his achievements, someone who clings to his past glory and is always recounting memories of the time when his light shone the brightest. Maybe you know some people like this. All such people can be said to have superiority complexes. That means those who boast about their achievements, who talk about recounting memories from the past, those who wear many rings, even if they don't look good. One is okay. Great. Youth. The kind of people, some pop-up, yeah. The kind of man who boasts about his achievements. Yes, it's an arrogant attitude, but he can boast because he actually is superior. You can't call that a fabricated feeling of superiority, right? The philosopher says, but you're wrong. Those who go so far as to boast about things out loud actually have no confidence in themselves. As Adler clearly indicates, the one who boasts does so only out of a feeling of inferiority, which is true. I've seen a couple of people who, from whatever little life experience I have, that deep inside there's a intense feeling that there is a lack and I need to reach somewhere. I need to do something more greater. And that's why they boast about their achievements. You're saying that boasting is an inverted feeling of inferiority? The youth asks a question. The philosopher says, yes, that's right. If one really has confidence in oneself, one doesn't feel the need to boast. It's because one's feeling of inferiority is strong that one boasts. One feels the need to flaunt one's superiority all the more. There's the fear that if one doesn't do that, not a single person will accept one the way I am. This is a full blown superiority complex, youth. So, though one would think from the sound of the words that inferiority complex and superiority complex were polar opposites, in actuality, they border on each other. That's so true, right? The youth's observation is amazing. The philosopher says yes. So, he's saying that it's not that superiority complex is opposite to inferiority complex. They both actually stand side by side. The feeling of inferiority, when you don't face it with courage, it brings you a complex. And then sometimes you might cross the border and go to superiority complex. Yes, that's clearly connected, says the philosopher. Now, there's one last example I'd like to give, a complex example that deals with boasting. It is a pattern leading to a particular feeling of superiority that manifests due to the feeling of inferiority itself becoming intensified. Concretely speaking, it's bragging about one's own misfortune. Wow. Youth, bragging about one's own misfortune? The philosopher, the person who assumes a boasting manner when talking about his upbringing and the like, the various misfortunes they have rained up down upon him. If someone should try to comfort this person or suggest some change be made, he'll refuse the helping hand by saying, you don't understand how I feel. The youth, well, there are people like that, but the philosopher, such people try to make themselves special by way of their experience of misfortune, and with the single fact of their misfortune, try to place themselves above others. The fact that I am shot, for instance, let's say that kind hearted people come up to me and say, it's nothing to worry about, or such things have nothing to do with human values. Now, if I were to reject them and say, you think you know what short people go through, huh? No one would say a thing to me anymore. I'm sure that everyone around me would start treating me just as if I were a boil about to burst and would handle me very carefully, or should I say circumspectly. I think it's not the mistake of somebody going through this. It's just what here he's trying to say is what's hidden behind what we are facing. What is that behind this mask, what is the person going through really? And it's a sad state, and it also takes something to look at it truly, so we're not judging the person who's going through this here by talking about it. We're actually using this as an example to reflect and see within us what is this, if this is right, wrong. The youth, absolutely true. Philosopher, by doing that my position becomes superior to others, so when I talk a lot about, oh my god, how much I've suffered, my position becomes superior to other people's and I can become special. Quite a few people try to be special beings by adopting this kind of attitude when they're sick or injured or suffering the mental anguish of heartbreak. That's true, youth. So they reveal their feeling of inferiority and use it to their advantage. Philosopher, yes. They use their misfortune to their advantage and try to control the other party with it. But declaring how unfortunate they are and how much they have suffered, they are trying to worry the people around them, especially their family and friends, for example, and to restrict their speech and behavior, and they control them. So it becomes something that it becomes a concern when that person is trying to control everybody else through through talking about how how unfortunate things have happened in their life. The people I was talking about at the very beginning, who shut themselves up in their rooms, frequently indulge in the feeling of superiority that use misfortune to their advantage. So much so that Adler himself pointed out, in our culture, weakness can be quite strong and powerful. Beautiful. Youth says, so weakness is powerful, you mean? Philosopher. Adler says, in fact, if we were to ask ourselves who is the strongest person in our culture, the logical answer would be the baby. The baby rules and cannot be dominated. The baby rules over the adults with his weaknesses. And it is because of this weakness that no one can control him. Youth, I have never encountered that viewpoint. Philosopher, of course, the words of the person who has been hurt, you don't understand how I feel, are likely to contain a certain degree of truth. Of course, they are true. Completely understanding the feeling of the person who is suffering is something that no one is capable of. But as long as one continues to use one's misfortune to one's advantage in order to be special, one will always need that misfortune. I hope it's getting clear. So, some people who don't like to step out of that are actually they know that their purpose is being fulfilled because they can control others, so they don't really want to get rid of their misfortune. But on the other side they keep telling, no, no, I want to get rid of it, I want to get well, I'm suffering from this, I want to be free of this suffering, but actually their suffering is serving them, so they want to stick to it. That's beautiful. I think that's beautiful how it's coming out. The youth and philosopher had now covered a series of discussion topics, and I think this is a good summary for us. The feeling of inferiority, the inferiority complex, and the superiority complex. Psychology keywords, though they clearly were, the truths they contained differed greatly from youth's imagined meanings. Still, something didn't feel right to him somehow. So the youth was still doubting. What is it about all this that I'm having a hard time accepting all this? Well, it must be the introductory part, the premise, that is giving me doubts. The youth calmly opened his mouth to speak. Youth, but I guess I still don't really get it. The philosopher says, okay, ask me anything you like. And the name of the next chapter is Life is Not a Competition. So I think with this, there's a lot to chew here and there's a lot to understand here, a lot to reflect here. Let's take a dip in meditation. The meditation is coming right away. Please do like, share, comment, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and see how this makes sense to you, I'm really happy to help. If you're finding it difficult to understand, there's always a way to revisit these readings. um, if you need any kind of help with this, please get in touch with me. I'd love to share and love to help and love to have a chat with you. Mm, and see you in the next video. Bye bye. Meditation coming right away. Close your eyes, bring yourself in a graceful posture. Bring your attention to your breath. Take your own time. And if you feel like, you can rub your palms, bring them over your eyes and face. And welcome back.